We keep hearing this jargon tossed about unique value proposition.
Value props is one of the most important things that we could possibly spend time on.
What is value proposition?
Value propositions.
Unique value proposition.
A value proposition is the worth that you offer to your customers.
Mostly we've heard it in context of products and how specific offerings and services try and stand out from the competitor. But the same concept can get extended to you as an individual as well. The idea is to show your unique value proposition or unique selling proposition, UVP, USP, to the client and let them know why you're the best one for the job. Hello and welcome to Design Hustle. In this episode, we'll talk about how you can define your unique value proposition and how you can assess your brand as a freelancer. Like the term suggests, the idea is for you to show the customer or the client what kind of value you bring to the table. And the more you're able to successfully convey this core benefit you offer, and of course deliver and execute, the more solid you make your personal brand. Do stick around to the very end to see a couple strategies of how you can assess your brand as a freelancer and a couple questions that you can ask yourself before any gig just to be more confident of bagging the job. Anyway, back to the importance of showing the benefits and solutions you offer. Whether it's cost saving or a very unique style that only you can do and nobody else can replicate, emphasize on it and talk a lot more about that. And see, this style bit that I'm talking about isn't just limited to your style in the craft. It's you yourself too. Talk about how you do it and in as authentic a manner as possible. That way you can foster a more solid connection and improve the likelihood or chances of actually getting the job. And I've talked on multiple occasions of the kind of free work that we have done for potential clients just so that we can show what kind of value we can add to their problem and just kind of convince them why we are the right ones for the job. You can see more of those examples in this video where I talk about closing clients. But here's another quick example. To be honest, we didn't really get this gig at the end of the day, but point being, having an approach just makes your chances much better in general when you look at the wider spread of people that you're actually appealing to or trying to convince. Or maybe that's something I tell myself just to feel better for doing some free work. But yeah, here's a quick example of the kind of breakdown that I'm talking about, where we first took an explainer video that this particular company wanted to kind of get out there and just put a few comments about what we thought didn't work in general. And we gave them a little bit of a recommendation in terms of what they could have actually done with their script from a structure perspective. So this is their current script, what it actually does but doesn't really do well. And then a little bit about how they could have actually structured their script so that it drives the point forward and kind of also highlights the features, which is something very critical about an explainer video in general. And again, about this particular structure that you could follow to make a script for a product explainer video, I talk about more at length in this particular video, but that's not really what this is about. This is more about creating that opportunity for yourself to convince a client that you're the right one for the job. Right? So after we really quickly showed them how they could have created their script to kind of put the content forward, we talked a little bit about the treatment in general, right? What kind of colors they should have ideally used if, their logo is a particular way and these are the brand colors, and why the explainer video also should try and leverage that as much as possible. More importantly, how they could even use those different colors and different backgrounds for different sections of the script. So at a very subconscious level, at a very internal level for the viewer, there could be that kind of distinction and segregation as well. And then a real quick breakdown of what they could have done as per the script that we are suggesting, right? And really quickly some visuals on screen, very quickly mocked up, not really with the intention of replicating exactly as is for a final video. But you get the idea. Some quick mocks of what could be on screen, some quick actions that are called out that they could do at that point, depending on the different features, how we can see the background change. It's almost like a carousel, as you can see the left panel over here. And yeah, just doing something like this improves your chances and opportunities of, bagging the gig and just kind of showing your value in general to the client as well. Basically, this way we can position ourselves very differently from the rest of the competition that's eyeing the same gig as well. And by doing some free work like this, you actually are able to make that difference really stand out about yourself. By the way, while positioning statements are for internal use, unique value propositions are tailored for external communication. And normally I steer away from jargons and acronyms, and I'm not the best at remembering any of those. But to get into it a little bit more, a positioning statement is an expression of how a given product, service, or brand fills a particular consumer need in a way that its competitors don't. Something that we brushed upon a little earlier. So while a value proposition is why you appeal to buyers, a positioning statement is where you fit when compared to competitors. So now that we know why we need to define ourselves a UVP, let's use a framework to make it happen a little easier. Here are some questions that you can answer for yourself. What is the solution you provide for your customers' challenges? What benefits arise from collaborating with your brand? For example, take this gig that we'd done some time ago where the client required some high adrenaline content created in a very less time span. The unique value proposition that we offered to them was that not only will we make this happen, but we'll also show you some tips and tricks of the trade that you could then incorporate in your future projects, in terms of how you could templatize a few things, in terms of how you could tweak the pipeline a tad for a better tad for your internal team and things like that. And even though we didn't really have a team that could pick this up immediately, the fact that we kind of showed them our progress a little bit and showed them what additional gains they stand to make from collaborating with us, it just became a little easier for them to collaborate with us. And we just gained their trust to make this partnership work. A couple more questions that could help are, how do you uniquely approach your offerings with your personal style? And what meaningful changes will you bring for your ideal customers? Again, the idea is to show them how you're the right person for the job. And from the get-go, we should be able to make them feel that and give them that experience of actually collaborating with you. Whether it's a quick audit like I showed you earlier, or maybe in the first interaction with them, you ask the right questions where you show your intent and your interest in actually trying to solve their problem. So yeah, answering these questions will definitely make it easy for you to find out exactly where you add value best and how you can position yourself to the client. Consider it almost as a checklist basically. Whether it's a personal growth journey or a streamlined process, underscore the positive changes. Alright, so we've talked about some strategies that you can adopt to identify your value proposition. Now here's a bit on the 5-6 questions I talked about earlier that you can ask yourself to know you've struck the right chord with respect to your personal or freelancing brand. If you've stuck around till here, I hope I could add some value to your hustle. And if so, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. So yeah, asking these questions, by the way, isn't really a one-time process. The idea is to do this before each client just to make sure you've aligned with their expectations and you know how you can present yourself accordingly. Of course, it gets a lot easier with time to adapt for different requirements. Or who knows, maybe you've found a niche where you could stick to a particular approach each time because the kind of clients you've got are all from the same realm or space. Irrespective, make sure you keep assessing your work and your brand in general by asking these questions. Are you offering solutions to the problems of clients you want? And does your work showcase the kinds of projects your clients want? This is important so that you know you're in the right space. I mean, of course, when you have a tough month and you're trying your hand at anything and you kind of claim that you are a pro for any given problem. I may have been guilty of this as well, just kind of positioning myself as an expert in everything.
I'm the man up in this piece. I run shit here. King Kong ain't got shit on me.
But the more we focus on the stuff that we are actually experts at, the easier the scene gets in general for all of us and to actually collaborate with that client and offer the right solution. And now that you are the perfect person to actually collaborate with, how do you convince the client? And this is where the portfolio kind of comes in, right? If you have a solid Behance page or a portfolio website that you can show your client for past solutions that you have offered for similar problems. Does the quality of your work and the overall customer experience you offer meet the set expectations? And do you have customer testimonials to support this? I mean, there will come a point when you talk moolah. And if you want to close high-ticket clients, then your work has to show where your mouth is. And while a great portfolio always helps kind of gain that trust a little bit, customer testimonials obviously work wonders. A good word from your peers and your past clients always helps. Is your pricing aligned with what you provide and what your ideal customers are willing to pay? Are your existing clients your ideal customers? So clients will often have this doubt, right? And you want to make it clear for them from the very beginning. In fact, your quote itself needs to make a compelling argument for you and why you're kind of asking for that price. So here's a quick example of, how we structure our quotes. And of course, while I'm going to steer away from what we normally charge for something like this gives you an idea of how it's very clearly structured in terms of how there could be a one-time cost associated with some tasks that we may have to do for scale. There could be a monthly retainer to do maintenance related tasks. And for the cadence that we need to produce, this being for a social media gig, for example, this is what each of these individual components cost. and how many we should make on a monthly basis so that we have the traction running the way we intended to. And finally, about the existing clients being your ideal customers, answering this question is very important so that you can assess for yourself if you can actually maintain a long-term relationship with this particular client. In fact, this kind of ties the entire thing together in terms of what I mentioned earlier with respect to either having to ask yourself these 6 questions each time because you're approaching different clients of different spaces, or you get lucky that you found somebody in your niche and your approach can be exactly the same way each and every time. To succeed as a freelancer, ensure your offerings, work, clients, pricing, quality, and testimonials all align with your brand image and your ideal customer base. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did and picked a thing or two, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.